The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pack wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
Championship week is upon us as the NC State wrestling team goes for its second ACC championship in the last 3 years this Saturday in Chapel Hill. Welcome, Wolfpack wrestling fans, to a brand new episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. I'm your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt, and here to break down the 2018 ACC Championship is head coach Pat Popolizio.
How are we doing today, Brian?
Pat, good to be back. An exciting weekend of action is upon us, but a quick look back at last week's episode real fast. If you haven't listened yet, please go back into our archives and do so, as we had great breakdowns of two huge wins from Michael Boykin and Michel Machiavelli. It was one of the most commented and reviewed podcasts yet. Pat, are the people telling us they don't need our voices on this as much?
It sounds like we found our winners right there.
A lot of people wanted Mock on the podcast, so I hope we kept all of his fans happy. He was a big hit. And Boykin, man, caught Boykin. He claimed he was a little tired, but he was in a great mood that day.
Yeah, he's been working hard, so it's going to pay off for him, but he was probably a little dragging a little bit.
Well, all those people that raved about the great interviews last week are going to be stuck with just me and you this week as we take an extensive look at the 2018 ACC Championship to be held on Saturday, March 3rd at UNC's Carmichael Arena. If you're in the Triangle area, we strongly encourage you to join us in Chapel Hill. It's going to be a great day of wrestling. We start with 2 mats, and then for the finals at 7, they go down to 1. Pat, you've been a coach at a few other conferences. How does the ACC Championship stack up nationally each year?
I think it's grown more and more. The depth has obviously gotten a lot better. So, it's a small tournament, but every match that's wrestled there is very competitive. So it's one of those where you're there, you're going to see a good match early. So, the brackets aren't big, but the quality's good, and every match or win matters as far as, getting guys punching them through to the final postseason tournament or team race.
And the 10 NC State starters for the ACC Championship were not in action this past weekend. What has practice been like the last couple of weeks since that Ohio State duel?
They've been good. Focus has been very high. Guys are zoned in. We got some guys now that have the experience. I think that's something that's different from years past, is these guys all have, we got 6 seniors in our lineup, and that's very valuable as you get into the postseason. So, years past, it's been the opposite, where we've had very young guys that are new. They're not experienced in this kind of setting. So I'm excited to see these guys and see the leadership and the experience all play out here.
And now we're going to be talking about NCAA championship allocations and ACC championship seeds. So, Pat, just maybe really quick, can you talk about the NCAA allocations, how they're set, and then how you coaches see the ACC championship? Yeah,
I think it's a great system right now. It's probably more realistic as far as getting the right athletes to the tournament. It's never 100%. Obviously, the right kids going, but I think it's as fair as we can be. With the body of work that's been done through the year, these guys have the ability to earn the spot for the conference. For example, you take a guy that's got a high win percentage, is ranked high in the coaches poll, and has a high RPI, he's going to get the spot. We were able to do that. All 10 guys did their work for the conference to get the spot qualified, and I think this is probably tied for the second most slots that we've gotten for ACC. So that speaks to the depth of the conference, and we got to continue to grow that because it matters. And like I said, it's a small conference, but I think percentage-wise, we have the highest percentage qualifying guys to the national tournament out of all conferences. So that's how you qualify the spots. As far as seeding goes, I think it's all basically done off of rankings of what coaches see with results. A lot of it is off of in-conference matches, and sometimes, guys miss the match here and there, whether they were sick or, guys weren't in the lineup at that time. So then you got to go outside and look at outside competition. There was only a few weights, I think, this year where, that some guys didn't match up. So it was hard to see. And then it came down to coaches thinking and seeing where guys played out in their rankings.
Now, the coaches seating, you guys do it over email. Would you ever want to do this process in person?
We used to do this, maybe not the ACC, but the night before. I know in the CAA, when I was at Binghamton, we used to do a lot of it in person, and I'm very happy that we just put it on a piece of paper and send it in. This way there's no one sitting in there.
Less argument, less hard feelings.
Yes, no doubt about it. It's a very fair system. And people do the right things. They see the results and put it on a piece of paper. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much. These guys still got to go out and take care of business. And the best part about it is there's enough spots in the conference. If you make a mistake and you're not the guy, a lot of these weights have other opportunities to get through.
So before we go weight by weight, NC State won the 2016 ACC Championship with 4 individual titles, and last year you guys finished second. So to get that top team spot on the podium, what is it going to take the Wolfpack to accomplish that team goal this year?
Got to show up. I don't think we're going to sit here and play it out on what we got to do or what somebody else has to do. And I think this year's team is motivated. They know what they need to do. They need to show up and wrestle their best, and I think that part will take care of business. We got guys that are very motivated. They're winners. So I'm excited to see them compete. I think this is obviously what we've been training for, is to put ourselves in this situation, and I'm looking forward to Saturday. I think we got 7 guys that'll have that first round bye. So, those first couple matches will set the tone, and then obviously from there it's, I think, a critical round as far as punching guys through. And you make the finals of the ACC, you're sitting pretty for what we need to accomplish as far as individuals and as a team.
I noticed this with Gwiz the last few years. He would weigh in at 9, have that first round bye, and then he didn't wrestle for 5-6 hours. So what do your guys do if they do have a bye and they don't wrestle for a couple hours?
It'll give them time to get off their feet a little bit. It's a long day, as far as maybe not wrestling so many matches, but it's a long day just in general between weigh-ins and the final start time. So you get a little advantage to get out of the arena, lay down, get some good food, and some guys, will be able to get a little more recovery and a little more food in them. And I think that might play an effect on some guys. A little different in a dual meet, 1 hour weigh-in, and this is now a 4 to 5 hour weigh-in. So you could see some changes as far as some performances through some guys, and it is what it is. At the end of the day, you still got to get out there and take care of business.
Now, this is a 6-team tournament, meaning the top 2 seeds get a bye into the semifinals. Weigh-ins are at 9 a.m. and the quarterfinals start at 11. It's double elimination format with automatic NCAA bursts on the line, as the ACC received an all-time conference record of 34 NCAA allocations with multiple bids in all 10 weight classes. The seeds came out Tuesday, and as Pat said, 7 of the 10 from the Wolfpack will have that first round bye, as they were a number 1 or number 2 seed. And for the 3rd straight year, no Wolfpack wrestler was lower than a 4 seed. So just going off some of those numbers, some high expectations for you guys this year.
Yeah. I think it's a reflection of their body of work that they did during the year to put themselves in that position to be either the 1 or 2 seed. So at the same time, look across the board, we want to get as many guys on the top of that podium as we can, and most importantly, punch guys through to get to Cleveland and wrestle at the NCAA tournament. And, all 10 guys had qualified the spot, and that doesn't guarantee anything, but at least, lets you know that your wins through the year have put you in position to be in this situation.
Now, I wrote down an awful lot of notes about each weight class, but I think we're just going to stick to our guys and have you talk about each one. At 125, there were 2 NCAA allocations. Redshirt junior Sean Faust got the number 2 seed, and he's actually brought home second place each of the last 2 years, falling in the finals. Sean only wrestled in 2 ACC duels, but he outscored those 2 opponents 31-2. And as you say, you know, he's in and out of the lineup a lot, but he's really wrestling good. And 125, if the seeds hold out, could be a really great match in the finals. But to get there, he's still got to win a match.
Yeah, he's wrestling his best, and it's one of those where we've been holding out a little bit just to make that run at the right time, and now is the right time, and cut him loose. And we've done that the last several competitions, and it's looking forward to Sean. I know his goal is to win this thing, finishing second in the years past. His goal was set high, and he's motivated to do it, and being the second seed definitely will motivate him even more to make sure that he comes out and makes a statement.
And 133 in the ACC, we've mentioned many times, just a tough conference. The 133, 5 NCAA allocations, 4 guys in the top 25. You have a defending ACC champion in Dom Fories as the number 1, a returning All-American Jack Mueller. He's the 4 seed, but your guy Tariq Wilson, he really had a great first year in the lineup. He got the number 3 seed, be making his debut, and he went 3-2 in ACC duels this year. How do you see Tariq's path?
Yeah, I think that's, if you look across all the weights in the ACC, that's probably the one with the most depth and obviously the most talent in there right now. That's all those guys have had a great year. And I think, his win against Virginia put him in position to be the 3 seed, because I think some of these guys didn't have a chance to wrestle each other. And at the end of the day, his quality of wins, I think, put him in that position to be the 3 seed. So he gets a rematch against the Duke kid who he's had success against, and then hopefully puts himself in position to get a rematch in the semifinals against Virginia Tech. But, got to take care of the first round match, knowing that the winner of that match will be waiting, Virginia Tech will be waiting for that winner. So we can't look ahead, but at the same time, we know what we're capable of doing at that weight, and looking forward to seeing him. I think he's got a lot of offense, and through this year, he's improved tremendously, and it's time for him to let things fly and go out and have a great performance here at this time of the year.
You actually have 3 redshirt freshmen who will be in action at the ACC Championship for the first time. Wilson, Hayden at 157, and Bullard at 174. Do you have to say anything to these guys about this tournament, or are they not freshmen anymore and they just get it now at this late in the year?
No, the great thing about them, they are freshmen. I think that's a positive, because these guys are winning. They're competitors, and they've grown up their whole lives, wrestling in these big tournaments. And if at the end of the day you look at the brackets, there's 6 of them in there, not 72 kids or 80, what some of these guys are used to growing up, going to Pee Wee tournaments and high school nationals and Fargo. So this is a very small tournament, and these guys have been in a lot bigger and tougher settings than this, and this is just something they're going to have to go through the process to accomplish their goals.
141 received 3 NCAA allocations. Kevin Jack is the 2-time defending champion. He's the number 1 seed, and he'll be looking to become only the 11th NC State wrestler all time to win 3 ACC titles, and the 5th non-heavyweight to win 3 titles at the same weight. And I held off this stat for the whole year, but now that the season's over, Kevin finished a perfect 16-0 in ACC duels in his career, outscoring his foes 156-33 and 2 pins, and did not have a single takedown over the last 2 years, or did not surrender a single takedown, I should say. So Kevin has been very dominant at 141. What do you see from that weight class?
Yeah, those are some impressive stats.
Thank you.
You went pretty deep into that one. Had a lot of free time this past week. I
didn't want to jinx them, so I didn't.
That's good.
I didn't say
I'm glad you saved it. Kevin's got to go out. I think it's been good. He's been tested this year, something different than years past. And I think what I like best about him is he puts things behind him, moves forward, and is staying very positive, and knows at the end of the day, it's all about matchups and styles and whatnot. And we just got to continue to do what we do and be ready, because at the end of the day, he's still in position to accomplish his goals, and I think that's going to be one of the most exciting weight classes this year, 141. There's a lot of great guys there, and it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. But I like where we're at right now, and I like the fact that we made a mistake in the last dual meet, and we're fixing things, and we're going to obviously see some things again that we're going to have to critique and make adjustments when we're out there wrestling, and that's what's going to make him better come postseason at the NCAA tournament. That's going to put him right in the position where he needs to be.
149 got 4 NCAA allocations. Senior for NC State, Donahue is the number 2 seed, so he'll have a bye. It's his second trip to the ACC Championship. In 2016, he went 1-2, but he got a pin against a former All-American from Virginia Tech. And 149 is another exciting one. The top 3 guys, they all had one loss. They all beat each other, and they're all ranked in the top 15. So I would say 149 is another great weight class to watch at this championship. Definitely.
I think, you got a bunch of guys in there that are going to be doing something great postseason. ACC is going to be just as exciting. So, yeah, but, I think it's good to know that, Bo has that experience in the ACC tournament, and he's wrestled well in the last time he was there. Had some big wins, and it's no different for him moving forward this year. Getting his chance to leave here at NC State, putting things in his own, in his own hands, and go out on top, and be no better way than to go into this tournament getting a win for himself and then keep momentum going right into the NCAA tournament, because I know his goals are set high, and this is one of those weekends we just got to be coming in wrestling our best. And I like what we've seen out of him this past week in the room. He's definitely very focused and motivated, and he's got a lot of experience, and that's something that he's got to use to his advantage come this weekend.
And moving up to 157, it received 3 NCAA allocations. Very interesting weight class. You have a former All-American ranked with the 6th seed. You have a pair of defending champions at different weights. And you have NC State's redshirt freshman Hayden Hyde Lee. He's the number 1 seed. He was one of 7 ACC wrestlers in all weight classes to finish a perfect 5-0 this year. So 157, there's a lot of experience, a lot of young guys, but it's really shaping up to be a real battle there with 3 allocations.
Yeah, that weight class is definitely very unique when you look at that and the guys that are in there wrestling. And it's going to be, I think, every match from, obviously, even some of those earlier matches are going to be barn burners. So, yeah, having that 1 seed, you get that bye, and, we know who we're going to see one way or another, both guys. And we got to be ready for it and get that good warm-up in. But, the focus and the drive that Hayden has, I think he's in a good spot. And it's just him taking care of business, going out and scoring points like he normally does. But I don't think there's a need for him to change anything. And just at the end of the day, it's another match. He's just got to go out and wrestle his style, his pace, and the advantage will fall in favor for him. But, yeah, this would be good for him more than anything, getting him that much more ready for the national tournament. And he's going to see, some of these guys, a couple guys in there that could easily place the national tournament as well. So this will be a good test for him this weekend.
And I mentioned Kevin Jack and Hayden Hyde Lee, both number 1 seeds. NC State was one of 2 schools to get multiple number 1s, but I thought it was kind of interesting this year. All 6 ACC teams have a number 1 seed in this year's tournament. So speak to that about how the conference has just really come along.
Yeah, I think the competition across the board has made everybody get better, and that's what makes good conferences and makes good teams, and that's the rise of the ACC alone. I know coaches are working extremely hard, and we need it as a conference to get ourselves ready. You look around the country, some of these other conferences, their tournaments get pretty challenging, and you want that. We need to have tough, hard-nosed, matches that test our guys, and if we're making mistakes, we still have time to fix them going into the national tournament. And if you're wrestling at your best, then you got to just keep momentum going. So that's what the ACC is bringing to the table right now, and it's going to produce national champs and All-Americans.
So we're going to take a quick second here to catch our breaths with our preview as we are through the first 5 weight classes, and I'm going to go ahead with some of my plugs, so bear with us as I read a little bit too much here. But if you've not done so already, please go in and subscribe to the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, any place you listen to all your favorite podcasts. Not only does it help track our numbers and eventually, hopefully, helps us to get paid to do this someday, but you will automatically get new episodes downloaded to your device as soon as they released, so you don't miss a single episode. Over the next few weeks, we have at least a couple celebrity guests lined up, and not going to ruin the surprise, but looks like we'll have our first Hollywood actor joining us on location at the NCAA Championship. So very exciting times for the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Also, we still want to give away free NC State wrestling gear. All you need to do to be entered is to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. If we pick yours and mention it on a future episode, we'll mail you some NC State gear. And with both the ACC and NCAA championships coming up, maybe I'll be able to locate some championship gear for some giveaways. And I threw last week's episode together so fast, I forgot to reward our listeners. So this week's winner, going all the way back to our very first review on iTunes, is number 1 PackFan for their review on October 11th. Just DM us on Twitter at PackWrestle to coordinate your prize. Again, the winner this week, number 1 PackFan. And we're going to get back going into the ACC championships. And 165, only 2 NCAA allocations. So this is going to be a tough weight class. Your redshirt senior, Brian Hammond, he's the 3 seed, but he got the allocation. And last year, he advanced to the finals at 165 and earned all ACC honors. And he was 2-2 against ACC foes this year. What does Brian have to do to almost, you say, wrestle up and get a bid at 165?
Yeah, it's one of those where, he qualifies the spot, and obviously, he took a loss to the Virginia kid in the dual meet. So obviously, seating-wise, that's where he should be. And that weight class, there's 6 quality guys, and we got to take care of business. Match 1 against, I think we're wrestling the Duke kid, I believe. So, we got to get through that match and then put ourselves in position to go out and get that win to make the finals. And you want to control that. That's something where you don't want to leave any of the qualifications up to a committee to vote on whether or not you're good enough to wrestle in the national tournament. So there's something on the line there for Brian, and obviously for the team. It would help a lot if he was able to make the finals. But at the end of the day, it's like Brian to go out and just be aggressive and go win that match for himself and be a senior that gets to wrestle in the national tournament.
And Brian does have a Duke kid, and you could have said fine silver. There's 4 of them, and he will wrestle one of those fine silvers. Up at 174, 4 NCAA allocations. Redshirt freshman Daniel Bullard gets the number 4 seed. He'll be making his ACC championship debut. Bullard went 2-3 in his first season of ACC action, but all 3 losses were to ranked foes, and 174 is just a very tough weight class.
Yeah, that's very competitive. 4 guys that qualified the spot, and obviously 2 other guys that are going to be in there wrestling that are just right on the cusp. So got to be ready to wrestle there. I think he had a win against the Virginia kid in the dual meet. That was a couple takedowns here and there, some good scrambles. So it's a match we got to be zoned in on and focused and get that win and put ourselves in position to wrestle in the semifinals. Because I think that, obviously that win there could lock things up for him to get his automatic bid. And, moving forward and winning is what you want to be doing at the ACC tournament. And, it's going to be one of those days where he's got to rise to the occasion and be ready to compete come postseason.
And I guess we should mention, obviously you get points as you advance, but you also get points for bonus point wins, correct?
Yeah. I think a major decision is 1 point, tech fall is 1.5 points, and a fall is 2 points. So, in a smaller tournament, those points could add up pretty quick, and they matter quite a bit.
Moving up to 184, 3 NCAA allocations. There's a 2-time defending champion of Zavascki of Virginia Tech. Senior Pete Renda is the number 2 seed. He returns to compete in his 4th ACC championship. In his last trip, Renda split a pair of ranked matches and earned all ACC honors by placing 2nd in 2016. Renda, Zavascki, they've had a lot of competition, but you also have a guy, number 18, Ness of North Carolina. So 3 highly ranked guys. What's it going to take for Pete to advance, but also try to earn his first ACC title?
Yeah, first round match. He gets a rematch of the UNC duel where he had a pretty dominant performance, and it's one of those we got to go out and be aggressive again and not take anything for granted there and think that the same thing's going to happen unless you go out and you do what you're capable of doing. And if Pete does that, he should be in a good spot because he is aggressive and he can score points from every position. And it would be nice. Pete's worked extremely hard. He's done everything he needs to do to put himself in position to be a national champ. And it just happens, he hasn't been able to win an ACC title yet. So it would be nice for him to leave here in his senior campaign with that. that's something, I know he's focused in, zoned in to do that. And it'll be nice Saturday to leave the ACCs with Pete winning an ACC title.
And up at 197, almost the same thing as 184, 3 NCAA allocations, hot from Virginia Tech, the defending champion. Your redshirt senior, Michel Machiavelli, got the number 2 seed, and he'll be making his second straight trip to the ACC Championship. But first at 197, last year at 184, Mach advanced to the finals and earned all ACC honors. And just like 184, you have Virginia Tech, NC State, North Carolina, all with top 15 guys fighting for that championship among the other 3 guys. So Mach, he really wants some revenge on Hot. He knows Shade was a good close match against Carolina. How do you see his last ACC championship?
Yeah, I think that's another one. He had a close match in the UNC-NC State duel. And I think that what's good about Mach right now is he knows the mistakes he's made, and I think he knows he's capable of going out and doing some great things here come NCAAs, and this is one of those for him. And I love the fact that this is going to be a tough tournament at 197 because it's only going to prepare him even more for the national tournament. But he does. He wants to get revenge, but he's got to get through phase 1, and that's going to be another match that those guys have split last year, and then Mach obviously winning the last one, and they're going to make their adjustments, and we will as well. But he's motivated, and he's wrestling his best right now. So it's a good time for Mach to be out there competing, peaking at the right time. And I'm excited because he's a true competitor and, mentally one of the toughest guys that knows, he's capable of doing this. So his mindset is right where it needs to be. And he is driven, and looking forward to seeing Saturday, him showing up because he's a leader by example, and a lot of the guys feed off of his drive, and it'll be good to go out there and get some of these wins for him.
And 285 is the second weight class. It received 5 NCAA allocations. Senior Michael Boykin is the number 2 seed, and he'll be making his 3rd trip to the ACC Championship, but his first at heavyweight. And heavyweight this year in the ACC was kind of rare. You had 3 guys finish at 3-0 or better, where Duke, NC State, and Carolina all went undefeated. So this is a little bit of a different weight class where the top 3 guys did not see each other during the season.
Yeah, it's a lot of depth in the ACC at heavyweight, and these guys are very comparable. Anytime they wrestle, every match is very close. Obviously, Casper probably separating himself a little bit, but I think there's some guys in the conference that have given him some matches in the past. So I think it comes down to who wants it the most, and I don't think it matters at heavyweight where you're seated because these guys are all so close with each other as far as results go when they're wrestling each other. So I'm excited to see Boykin out there competing his last campaign as a senior going in the ACCs. He's been there before. He's had some good ACC tournaments, and it's one of those where he's been training extremely hard. I think he knows, his only a few weeks left in his college career and probably his wrestling career. So he's putting it all on the line right now. And I'll say this, it wasn't an easy decision as far as who we were going to wrestle at heavyweight. We had 2 very, very good options, Boykin and Malik, but I think at the end of the day, we had to go with who put themselves in the best position to place at nationals, and Boykin had some high-level wins that was really the deciding factor there, is just he had beaten some guys that are probably going to be seated pretty high at nationals. So I like the attitude that Malik brings to the table and his willingness to accept this because it hasn't been easy for him. He's been a true contributor to this team this year. So that was a tough decision, but I like the attitude that all the guys in this team accepting what we're doing, and excited to see Boykin out there and finish out his senior campaign with a ACC title.
And again, Wolfpack fans, we would love to see another Sea of Red over in Chapel Hill for the ACC Championship that takes place on Saturday, March 3rd. Action starts at 11 a.m. and the finals are set for 7 p.m. If you cannot make it, all the matches will be streamed on ACC Network Extra. Pat, it's a busy time for sure, a lot of action going on, but good luck in your quest to bring home some more hardware this weekend.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's going to be a action-packed weekend, and we're looking forward to the challenges. And the guys will obviously excited to wrestle postseason. So looking forward to getting as many NC State fans as we can get over there. And I think from what I heard, any NC State students that have an ID get in for free. So let's fill that arena up with a lot of red.
And I want to thank everybody for listening today. This is your Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast covering all things NC State wrestling. Until next time, Wolfpack wrestling fans, go Pack!
The Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast is produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to MatTalkOnline.com.